You packed the car on a Thursday. 2 suitcases, a box of books, the plant that had somehow survived 3 moves already. You did not look back at the house when you pulled out of the driveway. This was a deliberate choice. You had learned by that point that looking back was a form of staying. What you didn't know, what no one told you because no one knew how to say it, was that you left something behind. Not your grandmother's quilt, which is in storage. Not the books you forgot on the shelf in the guest room, which your mother has promised to mail. Something else. Something that, as the registry has come to understand it, is not so much an object as an impression, a negative space in the shape of you. The outline a person leaves in a life they occupied for long enough. The registry has documented 11 cases in which that outline, that leftover shape, became inhabited. In each case, neighbors reported that the person who had moved away appeared to still be living in the house, appeared to still be going to the same job, appeared to still be at the same table at Hannigan's Diner on Sunday mornings, ordering the same eggs, drinking the same coffee, wearing similar clothes. In 9 of the 11 cases, the original person, the one who had actually moved away, was contacted by someone they had left behind, asking why they hadn't said goodbye properly, or commenting on something they had apparently said recently, or asking whether they were feeling all right because they seemed different, quieter, somewhere else, even when they were right there. The original persons, when contacted, were in a different city, sometimes hundreds of miles away, living their new lives, answering emails, sleeping in new beds. They had not, in any case, returned. We have reviewed security camera footage from 2 of these cases. We are not going to describe that footage in detail, because to describe it in detail would be to describe the specific quality of horror that lives in the almost right, in the face that is entirely correct, except for something behind the eyes that has not yet learned what eyes are supposed to do. We will say this. In both cases, the figure moves like you, sounds like you, responds to your name, handles your routines with the practiced ease of something that has been watching long enough to internalize them completely. It is not you, but it is made of you, of the space you left, of the life you stopped inhabiting, but didn't quite let go. Let's talk about what that means. The first documented case in registry files is a woman we'll call Adela, who left a small town in the hill country in 2015, after 7 years. She had built a complete life there, a job at the county records office, a circle of close friends, a 3-bedroom house she'd renovated almost entirely herself. She had also, during those 7 years, accumulated a grief she did not know how to carry any longer. She left on a Tuesday. She did not tell anyone she was going. By the weekend, her neighbor had reported seeing her in the garden. Her coworker had seen her at the records office, at her old desk, working through a file. The coworker said she seemed distracted, said she kept looking toward the door as though expecting someone to come in. She didn't respond normally to her name at first. There was a delay, a fraction of a second, as though the name had to travel a little further to reach her than it used to. But she responded, and she smiled. and she knew the names of files, and she remembered where the good coffee was kept. When Adela, the real Adela, 2 states away, was contacted, she was initially alarmed, then angry, then, after a long pause, she asked, "Does she seem okay?" The investigator didn't know how to answer that. Datala said, "I left a lot of myself there. More than I meant to. I was very unhappy, and then I was very in love, and then I was very unhappy again, and the whole time I was putting it into that place, into that house. I put so much of myself into that house." She asked, "Is she hurting anyone?" The investigator said, "No. Not that we know of." Datala was quiet for a moment, then said, "Then maybe let her stay for a while." We did not let her stay. We are not in the business of making those decisions. And even if we were, the entity in question was not something that could be permitted to continue indefinitely, for reasons we'll come to. But we want to be clear that this case, and the 10 others we've documented, are not, in the registry's assessment, primarily cases of malice. These are not entities that arrived to harm the people they resemble. They are not imposters in the conventional sense. They did not choose to be. They are something more like echoes, residues. The part of a person that couldn't make the journey. The part that stayed because it didn't know it was supposed to leave. In most cases, the entity persists for between 6 weeks and 3 months before it begins to degrade. The degradation is, by all accounts, difficult to observe. Neighbors describe the person becoming gradually less coherent, forgetting the names of mutual friends, losing track of the dates of things, beginning to respond to questions with a slight delay that grows longer over time, like a signal traveling an increasing distance to reach a receiver that is slowly losing power. In the end, they stop appearing. The house stands empty, or it is sold, or someone new moves in. The routines that sustained the entity, the diner, the garden, the desk at work, no longer hold the shape they need to hold. And the echo fades. We have not documented any case in which the echo caused direct physical harm. We have documented several cases in which it caused significant psychological harm to the people who knew the original person. The disorientation of someone who appears to still be present. The confusion of maintaining a relationship with someone who's running out of the material to sustain it. The particular grief of watching someone you care about slowly lose themselves, even though they are right there in the room. We have documented one case in which the original person returned to the town, while their echo was still present. We are going to tell you about that case, because it is the only one of its kind, and because it is the one that keeps us up at night. The woman's name in our files is Rosalie. She left a town called Briar Creek in 2019 and returned in 2021 for her aunt's funeral. She had not been told about her echo. No one in Briar Creek had contacted the registry, or if they had, the paperwork had not yet reached us. She arrived on a Thursday evening and drove directly to her aunt's house, where her family was gathered. No one was in her old house. Her old house had been sold to a young couple who were away for the weekend. But her old neighbor, an elderly man who had lived next door for 30 years and had been friendly with her for all of them, saw her drive down the street and called out from his porch. Said he was glad she'd come back. Said he'd missed her. Said, "You seem more like yourself today." She asked what he meant. He said, "Well, lately you've seemed a little somewhere else. But today you look just like you." She asked him what he meant by lately. He told her about the figure, the woman with her face, in her old routines. The diner, the garden, the small, ordinary rhythms of the life she'd left. She drove to the diner. This was, by her later account, a decision she made without fully knowing why she was making it. She drove to the diner at 7 in the morning, and she sat down in the booth where she used to sit every Sunday, and she ordered the eggs and the coffee. The waitress brought her the order, and then stopped, and looked at her, and said, "You look better." And Rosalie said, "It wasn't me. It was never me." And the waitress said, "I know, but it helped." We don't know what to do with that. We document, we archive, we maintain careful records. We have 17 years of case files, accumulated evidence of things that cannot be fully explained. But we are human, and some things leave a residue in us too, and that particular detail, "it helped," is one of those things. You left your house on a Thursday. You packed the car. You chose not to look back. You drove toward your new life, and you let the old one go. But you left something behind. A shape, an outline, the impression of you in the space you once occupied. And sometimes, not always, not even often, but sometimes, that impression fills itself in. It goes to the diner. It tends the garden. It answers your name, and drinks your coffee, and looks toward the door. And the people who loved you, who miss you, who are learning to live with the particular silence that follows someone leaving. They see your face, and it helps. The Twilight Registry does not speculate about what that means, or whether it is comfort or cruelty, or whether there is a difference. We only keep the record. We have opened case file TR 2088. We are documenting. We will continue to document. Sleep well, if you can. And when you leave, and you will leave, eventually, everyone does, consider, just for a moment, how much of yourself you're leaving behind. Some of it might decide to stay. This has been a Twilight Registry report. Case file TR 2088. All subject names have been changed. If you have experienced or witnessed an echo event, you are encouraged to contact the registry through our standard channels. We are here. We are keeping track.